a short introduction on how to make a pinhole for a pinhole camera. So a few things needed would be these things, and actually a mobile phone also could be coming handy. So you start with a piece of aluminium from a soda can, in this case a particularly good type of soda from Czech Republic. And you want to trim this to a fairly straight. And you could maybe benefit from doing this afterwards, and you will probably trim it down more after. But yeah, a small needle and a piece of cardboard. The thickness of the cardboard kind of determines how large hole you will get. So the trick here is actually to put not too much force onto this one. You choose a position and then you start turning it. And the slower you go, the better it becomes. In this case, maybe we would be aiming for something like 0.4 millimeters. And you turn this and you put some pressure on it. Potentially even better to go full revolution. And the trick is that you don't want to go too hard, because then you deform the aluminium. And yeah, you continue for some time. And now I have a hole. So needle in this case, I think it's 0.7 millimeters. So we can't just poke that through, because then we get too much of a hole. But now I have a hole here, and it is a little bit rough on the edges. And what we will do then is take some sandpaper, in this case a fairly fine sandpaper, and sand it down. And in this case, it might also be interesting to remove the plastic interior of the can. You have a bit of it here. So you sand it, probably good to make circular motions. You can also feel that you don't have rough edges. And in this case, there is a little bit of protrusion here. And yeah, slide it down. We'll do this a little bit quick and dirty this time. Yeah, you see, I push a little bit too hard. There's a little bit of indentation there in the aluminium. But then, how do you measure a tiny hole like this? That's not an easy task. Okay, the trick is that you take your calipers and you put them to 10 times the size that you want to. 10 times the size of the hole you want. So in this case, 4 millimeters. That's going to be 0.4 later on. Put a small mark with these on the sheet. A small mark there. And then we need to use the macro part of our phone. Yes. Yeah, I actually managed to make another hole here. And I zoom in until I get the corresponding distance here. I happen to be very precise here. So it happened to be, maybe it's an earlier hole that I tried to, yeah, but it works. So I zoom this in until I have the same size, roughly. It's not super important, but you need to be fairly precise. So now you can measure on the phone. This might seem a bit silly, but it works. So that should be about right. And according to these now I have 3.2, maybe 3.3. So if I want 4, I need to go on a little bit more, maybe pierce it a little bit more with the needle, or potentially just sanding it a little bit more in the on the back side. So that's a quick tutorial on how to make fairly precise holes.